10864. Station's your final time cue will be with 15 seconds until airtime. Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
The following is a presentation of Learfield. Welcome to Duck Insider.
Our whole athletic department, there's a level of expectations of success.
Throw, catch, touchdown, Oregon.
He can run and slam.
He's back out for a three. Left wing is good.
Deep to right field at the warning track. See ya.
Really excited that we get to rep our Ducks and hopefully come back to Eugene with some championships.
At the buzzer.
We have so many teams that are excelling right now. That's really fun to be a part of.
Give it to me, baby. My house. I'm taking it there.
Huge win for Oregon.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, here's Joey Mack.
Busy show today. If you're live with us at the 1 o'clock hour, Oregon women's golf advancing to the semifinals. Let's go Ducks. They need to go a little bit further, and then we're going to be able to watch them in addition to the Oregon baseball team. He's Jordan Brenner. I'm Joey Mack. We've got you for the first segment today. Then Terry John's with you for the remainder of the show because, well, Jordan and I have to run to the Eugene airport because we have a flight to catch.
The more voices, the better. I mean, we're
That's
really
right.
serving the community.
That's
if we're
right.
Being honest.
We're doing our part.
That's right.
We know our role. We execute it well. Oregon baseball in the Pac-12 tournament coming up. 9 a.m. first pitch tomorrow. 8:45 pregame show. What are you having for breakfast at 4 a.m.?
I don't know. I'll have to force something down, but
Coffee.
Coffee will be definitely digested. Maybe a breakfast tea that's caffeinated. Orange juice should get me ready.
You going.
Yeah.
You're not going to need any vitamin D artificially. It's supposed to be in the hundreds.
That's right. That's right.
But for Oregon golf, though, the women beat San Jose State in their match this morning, and it was a pretty impressive performance. Ducks are going to play Texas A&M coming up later. Terry with some updates for you a little bit later on. It's on Golf Channel if you want to watch it this afternoon. We will be tuning in from afar, literally from afar up in the sky.
Well, we're going to get to the airport quickly enough, and, before boarding passes, before bags.
That's right.
We're getting Golf Channel on the most nearby TV.
That's right. Elsewhere on today's show, H.J. Cohn. We sat down with him yesterday, actually, because he's on the road with the Oregon men's golf team on the way to Scottsdale.
That's right.
So H.J. Cohn is already heading out there. We're going to be a little bit further behind him, and so he'll be coming up on the show. And then earlier this morning, I talked with Melyssa Lombardi, a conversation that I was hoping was not going to be our last one of the year. But unfortunately it was. As Oregon softball season came to a close, Missy Lombardi, our conversation with her coming up. All right, Pac-12 baseball tournament, 9 a.m., Ducks, Wildcats, a team that Oregon just swept. Jordan, I'm excited for this game, and I think that the way Oregon's pitching staff has performed both bullpen and recently the starters, I think it gives Oregon the edge in this opening game of the tournament.
It's really exciting. And, you say Oregon has an edge in the first round of this tournament. I think Oregon has seen everything Arizona pitching has to offer, right? The Wildcats threw 6 on Friday, 3 pitchers on Saturday, and then 6 more on Sunday. Meanwhile, Oregon threw 4, 1, and 4. So Oregon's seen more of Arizona's pitching than Arizona has seen of Oregon's pitching. Credit to Jay Stoffel and Isaac Aon together going 16 combined innings over a 3-game series. So that alone, I think, gives Oregon an advantage, not to mention how hot this offense is right now.
Yeah, the offense has performed really well the last couple weeks. They were just in Arizona, took 2 of 3 from Arizona State. First time that an Oregon team, by the way, had ever won a series at Arizona State. So we're hoping that Arizona magic continues. What's on your mind? So, it's one thing for a 9 a.m. game. By the way, this is going to be our last Duck Insider of the week because we've got the baseball tournament going on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We just don't know when the game times are going to be. We know that it'll either be 9 a.m. Thursday or 4:45 on Thursday, and then I'm hoping that we're not playing on Friday, and instead you and I are going to the men's golf championship.
Men's golf championship. Maybe a nearby air-conditioned movie theater
Perhaps.
after that. I hope we have a Friday to fill. Let's put it that way.
That means the Ducks are in the winner's bracket, and they're 2-0, and then they're awaiting their opponent in Saturday's game. But it is a little bit of a unique deal. So I gave my thoughts on this yesterday. I like that the Pac-12 is doing it as 2 4-team double elimination brackets. The reason I like that and the fact that I think it's important that there's no bracket flipping, like if you're in bracket 1, you don't go into bracket 2 if you lose game 2 or something like that, like it normally works in the College World Series, Women's College World Series, that sort of thing, because this is a direct simulation of what an NCAA tournament regional is like. Essentially, it'll be Oregon, Arizona, and then Arizona State, Stanford. Whoever wins that 4-team double elimination bracket, think of it this way. They advance to the Super Regionals. It just so happens that the Super Regionals is going to be one game on Sunday against the winner of Division II between Washington and OSU and Cal and UCLA. I like it.
I think overall it's just really going to aid Pac-12 teams to get that rep a week before the postseason. And I liken it to what happens with the wild card team in Major League Baseball, where oftentimes the wild card team will get that postseason rep,
right,
and then all of a sudden they're red hot and they go on to upset the number 1 overall seed in whatever division or whatever side of the league
Agreed.
you're playing.
Now, here's what I'll say, too. I was talking about teams that you don't want to play. I don't know that I want to play Washington or Cal in this tournament.
Yeah.
Both of those teams are not in Oregon's bracket.
Well, Washington definitely, they probably would like to see the Ducks. They have revenge on their mind because of what Oregon did at their ballpark this year. But those two teams are feeling really good about the way they're playing. And Cal in particular has the upper echelon, top-tier talent that usually tends to excel when baseball games get more important.
That's right, yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. The Ducks had success against Arizona State. Ducks had success against Stanford. Ducks had success against Arizona. Those are the 3 teams that are in Oregon's portion of the bracket, the Pac-12 baseball tournament coming up. Keys to success. So, I mean, what are you thinking heading into this? I mean, it's a little bit weird because, I've never had to really pay attention to conference tournaments. This is the first one for the Pac-12 ever. So I couldn't even begin to tell you what are the keys to success in a conference tournament.
Yeah, it's we're going into uncharted waters. But what I will say is a key for Oregon all season has just been that offensive production, right? When Oregon fell into that skid, well, it wasn't necessarily the pitching struggling. It's not like they carried the load exceptionally well, but the offense kind of went dead. So with the warm weather, with the way they're swinging it the last couple of weeks, that's a major key for me. And then to get onto that winner's side of the bracket is always going to be a key for tournament play, because you don't want to be playing for your postseason life after day 1 of the tournament.
So here's the other thing to think about, and I honestly have no idea if the coaches have thought about this or not because I haven't asked them. But Oregon right now, in the latest Field of 64 projection on D1 baseball at least, the Ducks would be the 13 seed. That means that there would be a regional hosted in Eugene. So does that mean that if Oregon wins this tournament, they're for sure hosting? I think it does.
Yeah.
If that means that Oregon goes 2-2, how much do the tournament games affect the regional seeding? I don't really know the answer to that either, because similarly, Jordan, I've never really had to pay attention to that.
Right.
I've never had to think about it before. So I don't know what these games are going to matter. Is this you beat Arizona and then you lose to Stanford and then you win one other game and you're still hosting a regional? I have no idea. So you just go win the darn thing.
Win the darn thing. Blinders, focus on what you got to do, win as many as you can, and then hopefully your resume stacks up. Oregon is in a fortunate position where they're entering the tournament in a really good position, where we're even having this conversation where, 2 weeks ago when the Ducks were dropping ball games to Oregon State, they dropped that midweek game against UC San Diego. I don't think anybody thought the Ducks were going to be in this position, and that's a credit to how Oregon finished strong and how resolute this team was to recover from that nasty stretch.
It's also a little bit of an indication of the strength of the Oregon schedule the Ducks have played all year long. It's been a top 5 strength of schedule all season long. And then I think the other side of that is what movement has happened around the country. And that's that's going to be fun to watch. So we won't have Duck Insider Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We'll be keeping you up to date on the Oregon baseball broadcast. Don't know game times yet for Thursday. Either going to be 9 o'clock if the Ducks lose or 4:45 if the Ducks win. And then we'll let you know. But unfortunately, no Duck Insider Wednesday, Thursday, Friday with the tournament going on. And I'm hoping that means we'll have a ton of golf championship content to digest later on. That'll be next week. We'll be back after Memorial Day on Tuesday for Duck Insider. Well, Jordan and I are going to run to the airport. And when we come back on the show, there's your baseball preview. Terry Johns has you covered. He's going to tell you a little bit about maybe Sedona Prince throwing out the first pitch for the Mariners. I don't know if Terry's got any updates on that, but she threw out the first pitch. That's right. And then we got H.J. Cohn, we got Melyssa Lombardi, a full weekend schedule, and good luck to Oregon women's golf. See you at the airport. Terry Johns with you next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Summer starts here at your local Toyota dealer. Come in for huge savings on great Toyotas, like the adventurous RAV4, the sleek Venza, and the Ruby Highlander. For more information, visit Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
After 2 years of construction, my wife and I finally moved into our dream home. So when a bathtub fixture broke, causing major water damage, I was glad we had the home insurance protection we needed. How do you know your home is protected? Talk to a Country Financial rep like me, Nick Simon. We can help you understand your options and select coverages to meet your needs. Then if something happens to your home, you won't have any surprises. Need the right coverage for your home but not sure where to start? Visit TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
Summer starts here at your local Toyota dealer. Come in for huge savings on great Toyotas, like the adventurous RAV4, the sleek Venza, and the Ruby Highlander. For more information, visit Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
Hey, so what's a great way to spread awareness that driving high is illegal everywhere? A catchy song, of course.
You can run, but you can't drive high. You can run, but you can't drive high.
Friendly reminder, don't drive high. If you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Jill, why don't you tell the class what you did this weekend?
Well, my dad and I went in search of some magical minnows and found a zillion of them in the stream from our lookout rock. Then my sister and I escaped from an evil slug king and went back to my super twig fort for safety. Then we told stories till it got dark, and the Big Dipper led us all the way home.
Wow. Where were you, Jill?
We went to the forest. It's not that far away.
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Duck Insider. Terry Johns in for Joey Mackey and Jordan, of course, did the first segment, and they're heading to the airport as we speak, getting set to head down to Arizona, where it's hot. And speaking of Arizona, where it's hot, Oregon women, of course, into the semifinals. In golf, taking on Texas A&M, and Chin down one through one hole. Cohn even, and the rest yet to tee off here this afternoon. And that will be televised on the Golf Channel. That's coming up at 2 o'clock if you want to check that out. But you can also check it out online. All right, we got a lot of interviews to go. Joey, he worked yesterday and today. And Scotty, you got him all ready. H.J. Cohn, athletic director, who knows just about everything. He talks about the Georgia game. You can find out about that. He knows all. So let's hear with Joey and H.J. Cohn.
Let's just begin by getting the essentials out of the way. He's H.J. Cohn. He's the Senior Associate Athletic Director of the Duck Athletic Fund. He probably had Carl's Jr. today. It's the last time that we're going to talk to him before the fall. And, man, thanks for being here, buddy.
Thank you.
How are things?
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Kind of crazy to think this is our last time together till the fall.
I know.
And with a lot going on between now and then,
yeah.
I think everyone is already focused ahead at Hayward Field and the Worlds, and there's certainly some reason to be excited about that. I think our community will really see that come to life even before it, though, because you have so many other events at Hayward Field. Then you focus on internally, call it, because there's some external events at Hayward that we're just simply the host set of, but you focus on what we're doing internally. You're going down to Arizona with men's baseball. We got men's and women's golf down there this week, and just a lot of other things happening from an external standpoint with golf events that we're doing from a fundraising campaign and out around the state. So pretty exciting times right now before we look all the way ahead to fall and that game on Georgia down in Atlanta.
Yeah, that's on everybody's list.
Yeah.
This is the last time that we'll talk on the air, but I should say that H.J. and I actually do occasionally see each other outside of the show. But the way that H is on the show, you wouldn't think that.
What?
H.J. Cohn is our guest. I don't even really know where I want to go with you today, except just to to get into all of the nitty-gritty, actually. And what I really mean by that is, let's talk about the fact that the men's golf team is in the NCAA championships. Let's talk about the fact that the women's golf team is in the NCAA championships. Baseball looks like they're going to be. Softball just was. H, it's almost like there's some programs that really succeed around these parts, huh?
Yeah, I think when you go through, call it the gauntlet of the year, right? Yeah. So you start in the fall, and we have certain sports that are in season, fall, winter, and spring, obviously. And then summer, we're fortunate being in Eugene to have the likes of Hayward Field, where those track and field events, whether they're Oregon Athletics or, like I said, Olympic Trials, Worlds, USAs, that we're simply the host site and the operating team behind it in many cases, even though there's organizations that are running it on a day-to-day standpoint. We're fortunate in the sense that we have a community that hopefully sees those and benefits from it, of things to do year-round tied to Oregon Athletics and University of Oregon. But at the same time, you start in the fall and there's so much emphasis put on football, and then we go straight kind of that period where it's crossover between football, men's basketball, women's basketball, which we have such great fan bases that it's a lot. And so then when you get closer to the end of this school year, the sun's slowly coming out, which it has been slow this year, coming out. And now we're here this week, and we look at softball, had a great year. Baseball competing for a postseason bid, which it looks strong. Men's and women's golf, both advancing to the national championship level, which is really hard to do. You look at the collective effort as an athletic department, and our mission is pretty clear, to create an exceptional student-athlete experience. And so from the student side, I don't think it's any secret. We have a great university, and we hear from people all over the country. I'm sure you guys do as well. My kid's interested in going. Is that partially because of the brand that's built up with athletics being the front door? Yes, but academically a great institution that continues to rise. And then when you factor in the success that athletics and those teams are having right now, like I said, as we enter towards graduation and seeing kids get ready for graduation, earning their degrees, it's pretty exciting. Yeah. There's kind of a buzz around here, and like we said, talking about postseason this week with softball, baseball, men's and women's golf is just exciting to follow. You get people that might not have followed men's golf or women's golf throughout the whole regular season, but now they're talking about it out and about in the community, dinners, when you bump into friends that are following it now. And frankly, they should be, because we got some great student athletes, some great coaches and administrators that allow us to have the success and kind of enjoy it this week.
Well said. Well done. That's the nitty-gritty. See, I mean, it's easy for us to sit here on the show and talk about all those things because we do it throughout the year. But I think to your point, like, there's that build-up at this time of year that makes it a lot of fun. It's also the first time that I've had you on the show since Kayvon Thibodeau got drafted. Another high draft pick for Oregon football. You love to see it. And, H, I was talking about this with our buddy Steve Tannen from 95.3 The Score actually earlier. And I feel like having more Oregon Pro Ducks – us saying, yeah, that helps, grow the University of Oregon reach. I think that's obvious. But how about having them in New York, right? Like, you have a bunch of Pro Ducks now in New York. And I'm just curious your perspective on, like, the impact of that and the impact on the Pro Ducks as the U of O, I feel like, is still growing in a lot of ways in terms of brand exposure, if that's the right phrase.
Yeah, no, you bring up a really good point, kind of just thinking out loud here. So I would say there's your traditional schools that have a very large enrollment and have a huge alumni base that are scattered around the country, right? Say the ASUs of the world, say the Central Floridas of the world, Wisconsin's, whatnot. I would say, again, personally, I'm biased, obviously, being an alum from here, my wife being an alum, and we have a lot of loyalty and passion for the University of Oregon. I would say we benefit on a national landscape. There's no secret that has to do with the unique and exceptional partnership we've built and have with Nike. There's no secret that has to do with the brand that has been built over success in those sports, call it the last 20, 30, 40 years, right? Mm-hmm. And really, I mean, and this term that's coined the golden era of Oregon athletics, we're in that still, I would say. But when we travel, all of us travel on the roads for football, basketball, all these sports, and you see alumni or fans that don't even have any ties to the University of Oregon that continue to have built their ties because of the passion and the brand, and kids growing up liking the uniforms, liking the swag. And we go on the road and see it. Yeah, exactly. when you go on the road and see that, That's one piece. We have the best traveling away fans in the country, or excuse me, the Pac-12 when we go on the road in the Pac-12. We go, our allotment's already filled. People are buying on the secondary that might not be buying through our allotment, but we're going to have 10,000 at Stanford. We're going to dominate the Bay Area. LA, our fans love coming out there for many reasons, which I won't get into because we're on air, but I think it's always fun to go down there and win in LA. That being said, I look back at when we played football at Virginia.
Yeah.
Tons of fans come out. We go back and we're going to play in Georgia. We're going to have a lot of fans. Ohio State, same thing. So when you reference KT going to New York, I would also argue that there's Indianapolis Colts fans for DeForest.
Sure.
I would argue that there was Titans and Raiders fans and maybe now Falcons fans in Atlanta. And when you look at those, and I'm just talking football, I could say the Boston Celtics, I could say the New York Liberty and so forth. I think that we know the names, the Memphis Grizzlies that we're talking about. That just builds up over time, and I don't think that's normal everywhere. I certainly am not positive. There's no way to prove that, but I don't think that you get that alumni interaction or fan interaction where these people are following these student athletes into the pros who are also coming back and engaging with us spring game.
Right.
We have a lot of
how cool was that?
Former student athletes, notable ones that you might say coming back. Look at the Olympic trials last year. We have former student athletes coming back at the grand opening in Hayward. So there's these pro athletes that are still playing professionally. And then you have the ones that are recently retired and moving on with their careers that are still engaged and that people really relate with. And it's kind of this life cycle, which has taken a life of its own. I look back and a great story, and he's a friend of mine, Marty Lunan. Marty and I he was obviously a standout student athlete on the men's basketball team. I was a standout laundry guy. And
you're better than that. Pause, please.
No.
Pause. Former student manager. The student managers are the backbone of the team.
We had a lot of fun. We'll leave it at that. And it was an honor to be a part of it, honestly. It was really cool just to be a part of it and be a part of a larger effort. But where I'm going with that is Marty, full circle, right? People followed him overseas to Italy, saw his family grow, and now he's back working for Summit Bank over in Bend, Oregon, and he's involved in our golf events. He's involved in our community events over there. And so when you look at all those, and when I say that life cycle, seeing him come in as a young man out of Redmond, Oregon, growing as a basketball player from his experiences on the court, in addition to what he did in this community, going and playing overseas professionally, having a great career over there, seeing his family grow, and now coming back kind of full circle is really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. You mentioned something, H, that was interesting to me, that you still feel like we're in the golden era of Oregon athletics. That's something that's been brought up, I feel like, now for the last 25 years or so. How do we define that? How do you define that? Like, if it's the golden era? Because I feel like
I actually don't like the term
I don't either.
Golden era, because I don't think you get to the Hayward Field right now without a Vinland Anna or Tom Heinen or whatever it may be. I don't think you get to the level that we're accustomed to and hold ourselves accountable to at all sports without the likes of Rich Brooks and Mike Bellotti. And down the line, I don't want to miss anyone. I'm not trying to single. I'm just using some examples. I don't think you get there without those building those foundations, and it's hard to define how big of a foundation those are, right? I mean, a lot of us reference, let's stay with football, 89 Independence Bowl, a big deal. Shreveport, Louisiana, snowing. We just wanted to find a way to buy tickets, even if our fans were going, trying to find a way to buy tickets and have some people in this community, the Mike Schwartzes of the world, who really helped move that needle forward. And so when you look at when Chip came in and kind of took it to that next level, the innovative offense and the expectation of national championship or bust, Pac-12 champions every year, but then national championship or bust, and what Dana has done with men's basketball, what Kelly has done with women's, those aren't built without the Bev Smiths of the world.
Right.
And so I think it's cool to call it the golden era because our level of expectations has risen so much, but I don't think it's fair to exclude those people and put a time capsule on it when it's been built before that.
All right, there you go, H.J. Cohn. That's just part one. We'll have part two coming up here on Duck Insider. Terry filling in for Joey as he and Jordan heading down for the Pac-12 baseball tournament down in Arizona. And we'll have part two with H coming up next after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Money isn't interested in the fact that you dream of going to Greece. And it doesn't pace at night wondering how you'll pay for braces 3 times. The point is, money without people is just money. Only people can use it to run the family ranch, buy their first house, or adopt a happy old dog. To us, the powerful thing about money isn't money at all. It's helping you harness the power of yours. On Point. People are the point. Federally insured by NCAA. Equal housing opportunity.
As my family continued to grow, I realized I'd have to replace my beloved Jeep with something that has, well, more seats. I'm Jason Hines, Country Financial Rep and father of 7. Whether you're upgrading from your sporty ride with no room for a car seat or finally replacing your well-loved beater that still has a cassette player, you'll want the right protection for your new car. Work with a Country Financial Rep like me and get the protection you need at a price you can afford. Learn more at TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
You're listening to Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
If a natural disaster comes knocking, how prepared is your family? You can't just close the door on earthquakes, floods, or hurricanes and hope they go away. That's why it's important to make a plan now. Ready.gov/plan has the tools and tips you need to prepare your family for an emergency. So if disaster shows up at your doorstep, you'll be ready. Visit ready.gov/plan and make a plan today. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Hey, son, how are you feeling?
I'm fine, Pops.
What's on your mind?
I can't explain it. Navigating without a compass, eyes waiting, started to wonder. Metamorphosis, the loss of who you thought you was.
When your kid can't find the language, help them find the lyrics. Listen to the Sound It Out album and get tips and tools to start a conversation at sounditouttogether.org. Brought to you by Ad Council and Pivotal Ventures.
All right, welcome back to Duck Insider. Terry for Joey heading down to Arizona. He's got his sunscreen and he is ready to go. I think he remembered his headsets too. H.J. Cohn, Athletic Director, Part 2 with Joey.
I've actually gotten into this discussion with a few people over the last couple of years. Like, well, if this is the golden era, then what comes after this?
Yeah.
Like, so does that mean that you're just anticipating that's going to go and go downhill? I mean, no, that's not. You want it to all be like this all the time.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I just think it's interesting that now it's lasted for so long. Maybe this is the norm now. There's no such thing as the golden era. This is just the expectation. And that's pretty darn cool.
Yeah. I mean, that just it's a testament to the coaches, the staff. Certainly starts with leadership. Rob being year 13 here.
Baker's dozen.
And before him even. So I think, and he would say total team effort. I mean, he is from a leadership standpoint, he totally believes in the team effort and a collective group versus me. And so I think that's contagious when you look at our sports and our coaches and how they're doing it. And this is, by the way, not to say during a very adaptive time in college athletics.
Yeah.
That being said, if you go back in history, Oregon is the first school in the Pac-10 at the time to have an indoor football facility. Mm-hmm. And that was crazy, right? That was changed. The landscape was constantly changing then. And so I think this change is different, right? With name, image, likeness, with Alston, with the transfer portal, but it's not something that we should be afraid of rather than embrace. You look at basketball. Basketball has been having the transfer portal topic, if you will, for decades. And that's nothing new. It's just more heightened by media. Yeah. And so when we're talking to Kelly Graves last week, and you go down the Pac-12 of how many schools and the number of transfers of each of those schools, you're like, oh, okay, Oregon's actually not that far out there by any means.
Sure.
For any of the sports. I mean, it happens. It just happens to be this era where media is more focused on it, which is not a bad thing. That's fine. But change is okay, in my opinion. You look at the birth of Nike, they're celebrating 50 years this year, which happens to tie in with the Title IX 50th anniversary, which is pretty cool. But you look how much Nike's changed over the years. Yeah. And at the end of the day, and the founder of Nike once said this, he goes, at the end of the day, we are a shoe company. Even though they were selling golf clubs, even though they're selling apparel, at the end of the day, we are a shoe company to support athletes. And that's their mission, and they've never strayed away from it. Now, does it include a lot of things that come and go over time? Absolutely, just like we're in the midst of. Mm-hmm. And athletics, college athletics probably will look very different than it does today in 5 years. Mm-hmm. And that's part of change.
H.J. Cohn. joining us. We have now spent 10 minutes talking about something that was not on my bullet points for you.
Okay.
So thank you for doing that.
Absolutely.
I thought that was really interesting, and I think it's a continuing conversation in a lot of different ways. What should fans know, H? I mean, you mentioned the Title IX 50th anniversary. The Go To Anything campaign has been amazing. Catch fans up on that a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, so Title IX 50th anniversary, I'm hopeful many people are familiar with what Title IX is and the passing back in 1972. But June 23rd this year will be the 50th anniversary of the passing of Title IX. And we certainly want to continue to be at the forefront of that. We're fortunate enough to have, if we're talking about foundations, the Women in Flight program, which started back in 2013. It's always an honor to have multiple schools calling the likes of Lexi Cross and our staff each week saying, how did you guys do this? And us saying, well, how much time do you have? And it wasn't built overnight. And we've just been fortunate to continue to grow on it. So 50th anniversary is not uncomfortable or out of the norm for us. It's just a way to continue to grow and put emphasis on what it means. So for us, we're continuing our Go Do Anything campaign, which is the 50th anniversary specifically at Oregon of Title IX. Like I said, June 23rd is the actual date, but we're going to continue our campaign throughout this calendar year. Whether that's, financially, certainly fundraising efforts towards that. But more than anything, awareness of what that means and what University of Oregon athletics has done and will continue to do. And that's what we're pretty excited about.
Meanwhile, there's also a lot of excitement for a particular football game that's going to kick off the season. Hey, shout out to fans, though, first and foremost, because we don't have any tickets left.
Yeah, good problem to have, right? I mean, you always want to help people out, but we sold out basically in 2 days, 3 days, call it. So we got our allotment based on the contractual agreement that we've established with Georgia and the game, Chick-fil-A Bowl. We got our allotment, sold out. All donors and season ticket holders had the ability to purchase, and for them to want it and the demand being that high really leads me to think that, okay, that's just, call it our West Coast pocket of donors and season ticket holders that are going to go to that. Then you factor in like what we talked about, the New York Ducks, the DC Ducks, the Chicago Ducks, the Atlanta Ducks, the Florida Ducks, and so forth. I'm not going to say we're going to outnumber Georgia. I know that.
Hey,
right?
we can try.
But we are mighty, all right? We are mighty, damn it.
I love that. H.J. Cohn joining us. This is not your big, Oregon fans will outnumber Georgia.
No.
But, hey, it would be pretty amazing to even have it look close to 50-50 simply because of proximity. We know that, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're driving. I get it. And their season ticket base is bigger. Their alumni base is bigger and whatnot. But that all being said, I'm very excited for that game. I'm excited for our student-athletes to compete on a national level. We feel very good about the leadership of our football program with Coach Lanning and preparing them for that date and what it looks like. So needless to say, I think everyone's circled that and looking forward to it, and I expect us to have a good showing.
Meanwhile, I do want to ask you a little bit, too, about the home slate. It's a great non-conference schedule, the Pac-12 schedule upon us. Can't get here soon enough at Autzen Stadium, huh?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it's kind of like Hayward Field, like everyone's looking towards the Worlds, and there's all these other great events that are coming. So everyone's looking at Georgia, but then the following 2 weeks we have Eastern Washington and BYU. BYU's top 25 team, extremely well-traveled fan base. I expect them to have a presence out here. Eastern Washington, no secret the last 20 years the success they've had. We have some weird ties there with Junior Adams and Cooper Kupp now. And so from a first 3 games non-conference schedule, I think we have a really challenging schedule, but one that our student-athletes and coaching staff will be welcoming from a competitive standpoint to see where we stand as we enter Pac-12 and then have a good slate of home Pac-12 games in addition to on the road. So Pac-12 football looking really good this year.
I do want to ask you a little bit about what's coming up in the summer because we look ahead to the fall. You mentioned a little bit about Title IX. We've talked a little bit about track and field. What else on your agenda? What are you doing?
Yeah, so it's our time of year to go out and about around the state and say thank you to fans. A lot of those consist of dinners, golf tournaments for the most part, some auctions maybe here and there, but for the most part a chance to go to the likes of Medford, Portland, Salem, Bend, Northern California, which we have a huge alumni base and great fans in, to say thank you. And we ask them to come to Eugene, Oregon how many times a year to support us and obviously have some fun hopefully along the way. But seriously, just our chance to go out, engage with them, say thank you, create some laughs, give them an update on our programs based on what coaches and staff are there. So those are all coming up in the course of the next month.
He's headed down to Scottsdale. H.J. Cohn is. One of the many things that you get to be the sports administrator, sports liaison for the men's golf team. So always a good thing when you're traveling for postseason.
It's
right?
awesome. Yeah, those guys, especially this year, been doing it now, I guess, 3 years, and really getting to spend time with our student athletes. I think that's one thing, when I talk to some colleagues in the office of what you wish you could do more, and part of the reason we do this is to provide student athlete experiences and watch them grow, right? And so to be able to spend time down there and you realize they're just kids, when you're at the dinners and they're goofing off a little bit and having fun and talking amongst each other, and now I'm the older guy and the coaches I'm with were older than them, to see them be kids outside of the intensity that sports brings, and the heightened expectations that come with it, put on partially by themselves because they want to succeed, and that's why they came to Oregon to compete at a high level, but the public certainly. So to go and be on those trips and just spend time around them, talk to them about their personal lives. I remember last week I was in Stockton for a couple days and was talking to a young man and just learned more about his family and how did he get to Oregon and what do your parents do and how did you grow up. And those are really the experiences that are fulfilling for me and continue to inspire me to go do my best and be my best on the development side, ticketing, strategy internally of how we're going to continue to push our program forward.
Love it. H.J. Cohn joining us. What else should fans know? Do we miss anything for today, H?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's just a lot. The fun part, again, about University of Oregon is, and I hear this from employees that come in from another institution per se, is they're not used to hosting postseason events at the levels that we do.
Yeah.
We just hosted acro and tumbling national championships, and not all schools do that. We hope to host baseball. Not that long ago we just hosted Pac-12 women's golf championships, and not all institutions have the ability to do that. We're not even factoring in any concerts over the next year that we might have that Mike Duncan's putting together. So when you look at all that, I think that's partially what makes Oregon special. Certainly Eugene area benefits the most from that, but I think our state benefits a lot. I'm really looking forward to this summer. You talk about we got some great upcoming track and field events, but I think, for the first time on U.S. soil, I don't think that can be said enough. The World Championships, the first time on U.S. soil coming to Eugene, Oregon, and what this community will look like, just seeing the athletes and the teams around town and celebrating that will be pretty special.
Yeah, that's a pretty amazing deal. And, like you said earlier, that it's an external piece, but it's really embedded in the DNA of the University of Oregon Athletic Department, just what Hayward Field and track and field has done for this place. I mean, it's done a lot.
Yeah, no, it's pretty neat when we get through the summer and past all that, getting Hayward Hall. I would encourage all people to go visit Hayward Hall. We do have public hours. Those are kind of changing right now based on how many events we have coming up, based on preparing for the World Championships and the temporary seating being put in. But after all that, come the fall, if you're coming from out of town to a football game, to a basketball game, to a volleyball game, I would encourage you to look through our facilities that are open, whether that's the first floor of the Hatfield-Dowling complex where the Heisman's situated, whether that's Hayward Hall, and it really tells the story of Oregon track and field and the birth of Nike, is something I would absolutely encourage people to do. Come early, engage, enjoy the whole weekend outside of just the athletics events that you might have tickets for.
He's H.J. Cohn. H, you and I joke sometimes. Occasionally. We've been known to be sarcastic. But I really want to say thanks for what you do. Thanks for coming on the show.
No, thank you.
Anytime I've asked H to come on, he's always come on. And I'm just going to tell you from my experience talking with my colleagues that do the same job that I do at other universities, that is not always the case. We're lucky to be able to talk with someone like H who's in one of these corner offices making important decisions. And as you can see, H is an open book.
Well, privileged to be here, not only here, but at the University of Oregon. I mean, I really count my blessings of I'm fortunate. Like I said, my wife and I met here. It's our alma mater. We're raising our kids as a part of this, and they get to go to games and grow up Duck fans. It's truly an honor to be here and be a Duck, so thank you.
You bet. Now I just hope that we didn't miss anything.
Can always come back in the fall.
That's right. We will be able to come back in the fall. H is going to travel down to Scottsdale. Thanks for the time, buddy.
Thank you.
Really
Much appreciated. Absolutely.
All right, there you go. H.J. Cohn, athletic director, knows all, and all-around great guy. He is a great guy if you don't know him. By the way, the women's golf, if you don't know, they won the quarterfinals this morning over San Jose State and 4-1. And right now they're up in 3 matches, down in 1, and the 4th is yet to get to the first green yet. But they're doing well. It'll be on Golf Channel at 2 o'clock, and we're kind of turning our heads here. Well, we're playing interviews and commercials. But coming up next, softball. Softball ended, and Melyssa Lombardi, head coach, sat down with Joey Mack this morning. And we'll hear from Missy, the coach, and put a wrap on the Oregon softball season next after this on Duck Insider. Coming up from Learfield and the Oregon Sports Network.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, our all-inclusive event pricing allows us to take care of all of the details while you enjoy your event. Our wedding garden, expansive grounds, ballroom, and meeting rooms can accommodate any size event and come complete with full catering and service staff. From weddings to business and social events, Shadow Hills offers the benefits of a resort atmosphere and the peace of a country setting just minutes from downtown Eugene. For more details, call us today or go to shadowhillsevents.com.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCAA. Equal housing opportunity.
This is Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Is this tree good for climbing? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
Jelly. Jelly adjective. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt US Kids, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Country Financial Studios. Terry Johns in for Joey Mack, heading down with baseball. And Jordan Brenner, they're both going to be down there calling the games from Scottsdale and the Pac-12 tournament, Oregon baseball. Oregon women's golf now up in 4 matches and down in 1. So off to a great start in the semifinals. All right, let's hear from Melyssa Lombardi, wrapping up the softball season with Joey Mack.
Every day, every Tuesday, I should say, around this time, Coach Lombardi always joins us. Coach, just first of all, thanks for coming in, always. And, we said before we started recording this morning that I was hoping that we wouldn't be talking today. I thought maybe you guys would be on a flight somewhere, you'd be getting ready for a super regional, but unfortunately you're stuck talking to me, so I apologize for that.
Oh, no. I always love talking with you. So
Thanks, Coach. All right, let's look back on the year that was. Maybe just your perspective on the regional, Coach. You guys got to the regional finals and gave Arkansas some pretty great games this weekend.
We did. It was a tough regional. We knew it was going to be a tough regional. We were up and ready for it. I thought we competed and got after it. They just did more. They just did more. We didn't do enough. But as far as them ready for it, prepared, wanting to get after it, 100%. Like we left everything out on the field, and I think if you leave everything out on the field, there's not a whole lot more you can do.
It's an obvious question, but the experience of going through postseason, how valuable is that? Because you do have a lot of your roster coming back next year.
It's really valuable. Now this is with this group, this is our second time going to postseason, and it's so valuable. I think of the experience that we got last year and how that helped us going into this year. So I know what this year's experience is going to do for us next year.
I was thinking about this yesterday, and we talked about it on the show with so many different leaders in different categories offensively. Like I think about Tara McGowan leading the team in batting average, Hannah Delgado leading the team in runs, Allie Bunker leads the team in hits. I mean, it goes on, and all of those athletes are coming back. Just the depth of your team. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yes, it's exciting having them all come back and seeing the strides that they took this year and just knowing what's going to happen for them next year. So I think they're going to all come back really hungry. I think a lot of them really did some great things this year, but are going to want more.
I really loved what Tara McGowan said post-game. And if you missed the show yesterday, she mentioned how she really loves the way that you guys use the version phrase, right? And how, well, one version can get better, and that's why it goes from version 3 to version 4 to now version 5. You and I were just talking like, version 5, that's next season.
I know, it's crazy. Like, it's crazy to hear version 5, but I agree with Tara. And it's funny because who came up with the versions in the first place was Cherish Burks at the end of our first year, and we were sitting there after our last game together talking as a group, and she said, gosh, I can't wait to see what version 2 looks like next year, what next year's version looks like. And then it just stuck with us, and we've just kept versions since day one. But I mean, that originally came from Cherish.
I was going to ask you if you could remind fans of the origin story, if you will, because that is kind of a fun deal. So what's version 5 going to look like? I mean, what are your off-season focuses? What do you want to hit on now with your group heading into next year?
I think version 5 is going to be pretty exciting. I just think the years that these guys now have under their belts, things off the field that we had to deal with COVID and some other things that we're not going to have to deal with anymore. I just think version 5 really allows the athletes that are returning to just everything they've got up to this point to put it all out there.
Talking about some of the things you guys had to deal with this year. One of them is losing your ace pitcher.
Yeah.
Without Brooke for the entire season, so had to make some adjustments. Just perspective on the pitching.
Yeah, no, and I can't tell you how proud I am of this pitching staff because that was tough to lose her. But one thing I do appreciate is Brooke is a leader. Like with her being out, she could have just kind of selfishly sat to the side and worried about her injury, and she didn't. She was right in the middle of everything all year long. She went to every bullpen that the other pitchers had and was just trying to do whatever she could. Physically, she couldn't help us, but how could she help us mentally? How could she help us as a leader? She was just trying to do whatever she could to help this team win, though she couldn't be on the field, which I think that's going to go a long way for her next year. It's amazing sometimes when you get sidelined, your perspective changes a little bit. You look at things a little different when you return. But then I look at Stevie Hansen as a freshman and all the innings that she threw this year and just how much she has improved. It was really exciting to see McKenna do the things that she did this weekend. Yeah. It really exciting to see that. And just as a young staff, we needed these guys to step up and be in roles that I don't think, I expected them to possibly be in, and them coming into it. So it's the experience is invaluable. What it's going to do for us and our staff next year, it's going to be really good.
Well, and I was going to ask you about mechanically thermos because that was what you were hoping for, right? To have that sort of confidence builder. I mean, what can that do for her confidence now heading into the offseason?
Oh, I watched her transform this year. I watched her transform, and going from at times not quite sure to totally give me the ball. I know what I need to do. I got this. And that's, especially on the mound, you want to watch everybody transform. In college, physically everybody has it. That's why you play in college. You physically have it. But to me, the mentality is what allows you to elevate what you do. And seeing McKenna's mentality transform was awesome.
Some fans have asked us over the last few weeks, like, hey, is there an update on Brooke? Like, where's she at? So I was just going to ask you, just how's she looking for next year?
She's just right in the middle of rehab and doing what she needs to do. She's been working really hard, and right now she's on schedule. So
she's probably going to be a coach someday.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think a lot of these guys are.
Whether she wanted to be this year or not, she was one.
For sure. Yeah. For sure. She was like an assistant, for sure.
That's amazing to think about. Talking with Coach Lombardi, let's recap the softball season a little bit more. We talk defense a lot. If anybody's ever listened to me do a broadcast, you'll know that one of my keys to the game, literally every game, is defense. Usually the better team defensively tends to win. For the second year in a row, you guys set a program record for fielding percentage in a season. I say that. How proud are you of the way that your team performed?
Really proud. They've worked really, really hard on their defense, and I just think Coach Reagan coming in this year and the things that she's done with our infield and our outfield, has been huge for them. And I think they've always been solid defensively, but I just think a veteran like her, an All-American like her, in every area, there's little things that go a long way, And the great ones do those little things really well, and I think that's what she was able to provide for them, are those little things that make a big difference.
So I was talking about Coach Reagan. So I mentioned this on the show a few weeks ago, that Paige Sinicki kind of reminded me of freshman year Nikki Udria, now Nikki Reagan, because of just the way that she showed those flashes, some great plays defensively at shortstop, and seems like just a really special player. And, you know, for those that are not familiar with Nikki Udria, Nikki Reagan's numbers, she was an All-American during her time at Oregon a couple different times. I mean, I feel like Paige Sinicki has that potential. Is that a fair assessment? Does she kind of give you those flashes too? I
love, she's such a competitor and just fearless. She doesn't worry about what could possibly happen. She just really does a good job of living in the moment, and I think Coach Reagan does the same thing, just really gets caught up in the moment and how can I be great in this moment, and I just think those two have worked really well together. It was cool to see Paige elevate her game all year, but then going into postseason, you could see her elevate as well.
Allie Bunker, too, I wanted to ask you, not just defensively, but offensively. Man, the future's bright.
She's pretty good. And she just, what I love is that I think she's elevated in all areas, but the thing that I was really proud of her the most is her leadership. You know, I think you've got to have strong leadership, and I think she does a really good job of that and has really grown as a leader. Early on, when she was younger, she wouldn't say a whole lot. She would just lead by example, and now she still leads by example, but she's a vocal leader too, and these guys want to hear what she has to say.
You know, that's interesting that you say that, because sometimes it can take a while to become that leader, but you know, not to always compare everybody to Nikki, but that's kind of how she was, I remember, as a player. Like when she spoke, people listened on that softball diamond. I did want to ask you, I could go down the list and ask you about every individual, but I do want to make sure that I hit on Ariel Carlson, because she had a heck of a weekend in the regional. Maybe the furthest home run of the season in that first game. I mean, pretty incredible what she did.
It was launched. She hit that pretty good.
Where would that have landed if she hit it at the Jane?
Gosh, definitely on the tennis courts.
Yeah, she
maybe even deep on the tennis courts.
And she's done that, you know, a few times, right? Like, she's had some of those moments. She's the confidence for her coming off as a great postseason regional for next year.
For sure. It's cool to see, like, when you watch your team get into postseason and how they respond as a team, how they respond as individuals, and you could see Ariel just step up her game in postseason. I felt like she went to another level in postseason.
We talk a lot about the Pac-12. 5 Pac-12 teams are in the Super Regionals.
Yeah.
Does that surprise you?
No.
Coach Lombardi joining us. All right, I have to ask you one last thing. Off-season focus. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? You going to take any vacation? What's next for you?
What are you talking about? I'm a coach. We don't take vacations.
So you're starting recruiting today?
Yes, you get on the recruiting trail and you go all summer long.
And then we'll talk to you, I guess, in the fall, right?
Yeah.
Well, I know these are always bittersweet chats, truthfully, because unless you win the last game of the year, there's a bunch of teams in the country that are always disappointed. So here's to winning that last game. And thanks for always taking the time. We really appreciate it. I know it's a lot of your schedule coming in here every Tuesday, so thanks for doing it.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, we're going to get a timeout. And, boy, before you know it, women's golf, everybody. We're going to talk about that coming up.
All right, there's Joey with Melyssa Lombardi. And softball, you lose your ace pitcher right before the season. I mean, what they did was actually pretty remarkable. And they hung in there, and, you know, that's good coaching. You don't lose the team because that's tough. That's tough. You lost Brooke Yanez right off the get-go. And but they're going to be pretty good. They got a lot of good players coming back. All right, we'll check out golf, update you on that. The rest of the athletic schedule coming up for the weekend. And we'll also the schedule for Duck Insider. It's a little bit different. That's all coming up. We'll be back to wrap things up after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
After 2 years of construction, my wife and I finally moved into our dream home. So when a bathtub fixture broke, causing major water damage, I was glad we had the home insurance protection we needed. How do you know your home is protected? Talk to a Country Financial rep like me, Nick Simon. We can help you understand your options and select coverages to meet your needs. Then if something happens to your home, you won't have any surprises. Need the right coverage for your home but not sure where to start? Visit TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
Money isn't interested in the fact that you dream of going to Greece. And it doesn't pace at night wondering how you'll pay for braces 3 times. The point is, money without people is just money. Only people can use it to run the family ranch, buy their first house, or adopt a happy old dog. To us, the powerful thing about money isn't money at all. It's helping you harness the power of yours. On Point. People are the point. Federally insured by NCAA. Equal housing opportunity.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
What is dedication?
My daughter started making necklaces. She makes what we call affirmation fashion. I tell her every day that your black is beautiful. And if there's anything better than being beautiful, it's being smart. And if there's anything better than being smart, it's being kind. And reaffirming that every day is our method of making sure her chin never drops.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
These are the sounds of a dinner. A dinner that almost didn't happen. A dinner now served, thanks to people like you. Due to COVID-19, 17 million more Americans may face hunger. Feeding America is helping our neighbors in need. And if you're able, you can too. Donations are being accepted at feedingamerica.org/coronavirus. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Feeding America. 200 food banks strong.
All right, welcome back here on a Tuesday in the Country Financial Studio. It's Duck Insider Terry for Joey, and Jordan on their way down to Scottsdale, Arizona. Pac-12 baseball tournament, 9 o'clock first pitch tomorrow, 8:45 with the pregame show. And that means no Duck Insider the rest of the week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Monday was Memorial Day that they normally take off. So next Duck Insider will be 1 week from today, so next Tuesday. So keep that in mind. NCAA golf semifinals, Oregon, that just switched now. We've got 2 ties, and Oregon up in 3 matches. And the two of them, Lynn and Lou, are up 1 through 2, and Cohn is 2 through 3. And the other 2, Chen and Nielsen, are tied. And by the way, they get in the Final Four. By getting into the Final Four, you get in like it's the biggest golf tournament. The men do it too. It's at East Lake in Atlanta. And I think it's in March, and I forget the name of it. But if you make the Final Four, they bring like really good teams, like the Final Four. They come in and they compete with each other, and it's televised, usually on Golf Channel or ESPN. I can't remember which, but it's a big deal. It's a big deal. All right, other sports going on. Track and field. The NCAA West preliminary in Fayetteville, Arkansas, where the softball team just came back from that. It gets underway tomorrow and runs through Saturday. Baseball, of course, hopefully they are there all the way through Sunday, because that means they're playing in the championship. And men's golf, Friday. They'll take over right there on Greyhawk as the championship. Hopefully, if the women beat Texas A&M, they are in the championship tomorrow against either Stanford or Auburn. So go Ducks, right? Get her done. And then they would have the championship coming up tomorrow. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Go Ducks.
It's time for today's STEM tip. Okay, you know recycling is important. No one wants plastic in the ocean. Here's a cool way to repurpose a plastic bottle. Build an awesome terrarium. Cut a large plastic bottle in half and fill the base with sand, pebbles, potting soil, and your favorite plant. I chose an African violet. Put the top of the bottle over your base and place it in the sun. Your plant will grow sealed in its own ecosystem. Fun, right? Learn more at She Can STEM. A message from the Ad Council.
Neil Armstrong waited